Bindu, we can start. The strength has crossed 50. Let the others
Yes, sir.
join in time. We need not delay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. And this is Bindu Valur. I am Manager Academics Outreach, Ahalya Group Academic Institutions, India. And today, let me welcome all of you to this awesome awareness session on National Digital Library of India. And let me first welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Vignesh Sornamohan, the Chief Strategic and Outreach Officer, National Digital Library of India. We are thrilled to have you here, sir. And next, I welcome the torch bearers of our institution, our principal, Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, and our vice principal, Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore. Their support and the continuous has made all these things happen in our institution. Next, I would like to welcome all the heads of departments, faculty members to this awareness session. I would like to extend a special welcome to Dr. Balamurugan, Head of the Department, Electronics and Communications Engineering, who is also the chairman of the Library Committee, and Mr. Lal, Librarian, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, and Mr. Rajesh, Assistant Librarian, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology. They have taken immense effort setting up this club in Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology. Now, let us, before getting into the actual program and talk by the learned resource person, let us see what is the necessity of such a program, or what is the necessity of such a club in our institution. Past 1.5 years, we have been going through an unprecedented times where we know that whatever we felt relevant have become irrelevant and worthless now. So that means to say that if we have to stay relevant in this era, we will have to be continuous learners, that is lifelong learners, and keep adapting, keep gaining new skills and adapting to the challenges and adapting to the changes that is happening around us. That is where National Digital Library of India becomes important to us, and that is where the significance of such an institution comes into picture. When we talk about the National Digital Library of India, it's a virtual repository of learning resources, which is sponsored and mentored by Ministry of Education, Government of India, through its National Mission on Education through Information and Communication Technology, that is NMEIC, developed and operated and maintained from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. So our resource person is the one of the backbones of this repository and this National Digital Library of India. So before getting to navigate, now we know that this is important. So we have seen the website of that. We have all registered in that, but we should also know how to navigate and make maximum out of it. So there are so many information, but how do we get it? How do we fetch that? How do we optimally use that? So we will listen to our learned resource person about all this. Getting into the actual program, I invite our principal, Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, for his offering his presidential address. Mahadevan, sir, please.
Thank you,
So, yeah,
Bindu.
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now you're audible.
Dr. Vignesh Sornamohan, the Chief Strategic Officer of the National Digital Library of India, based in IIT Kharagpur, and our most honored Chairman of the Ahalya Group, Dr. V.S. Gopal, who has joined us from Abu Dhabi. My colleagues, Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, the Vice Principal, Dr. Balamurugan, the Head of the Department, also the Chairman of the Library Committee of the College, Mr. Lal, the Librarian, Ms. Bindu, the Combier, and other heads of departments, teachers, guests from other colleges, because I've invited the principals of all the colleges in Tamil Nadu and Kerala who are not having National Digital Library to attend this program. And I have seen that some of them are already here because, as you know, the National Digital Library membership is now mandatory. So tomorrow I have been assigned the duty of scrutinizing the documents of engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu for AICTE approval purpose. And in that, one question is whether you are the member of the National Digital Library of India. So if somebody is not still a member in the National Digital Library, definitely it's a negative mark and they have to be members. So NDLI has become very relevant because AICTE has given special emphasis for that. I think Dr. Vignesh should be aware of this because they are also interacting closely with AICTE. And I'm so happy that NDLI is now functioning in almost 70 languages. Am I right? I think 70 languages, so that it reaches everyone in the country. Initiated by the Ministry of MHRD, now which has been renamed as the Ministry of Education, it has got a tremendous scope. People are changing over from the habitual reading of text materials in print form to soft form. I think for the last 3-4 years, I'm reading everything in soft form only. Even newspaper, I'm reading in soft form because it's very comfortable, convenient, storage is easier. While traveling, you can read. So in the years to come, maybe in half a decade, the entire reading materials are going to be digitized. A National Digital Library is a consortium of all the digital libraries in the country so that it can take care of these requirements. And maybe you are going to be the biggest operator of reading resources in the country hereafter. Slowly, AICTE is also now diluting its print book and print journal requirement. You know that now when inspection is going on, we give more importance to the digital library, digital storage of books and journals, because that has got more versatility. So I'm not going into those things in detail because we have got the right person here, the chief strategist of the National Digital Library. I'm very happy that you have been from IIT Kharagpur because I have got very fond memory of IIT Kharagpur. 1984, I spent 2 weeks there. The sweet varieties there, the horse-ridden tonga, and the kulfi at every corner of the campus have been very attractive. And luckily, I couldn't come again to see those things. And I think you are lucky enough to be there, enjoying all these things. I very warmly welcome Dr. Vignesh Swarnamohan to this meeting. And also, now our participation has crossed 93, because many people will still be joining. So I'm happy that people have also taken this seriously. I express my gratitude to Dr. Gopal V.S., the chairman of the Ahilya Group of institutions in India and abroad, for joining this program and getting acquainted with the NDLI and its working, and to all the heads of institutions from other colleges in Kerala and Tamil Nadu who have joined to listen to this. A warm welcome to all of you again, though Bindu has welcomed you. We'll be silent listeners hereafter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahadevan sir. Actually, I apologize that, when in this hurry-burry, I forgot to welcome our chairman, Gopal sir. I apologize for that, sir. And I warmly welcome our chairman to this program. Now, let me invite Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, our vice principal, to offer a felicitation. Take it, sir.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to be here, to be part of this event. The National Digital Library of India is one of the main achievements of the Government of India program, and I thank IIT Kharagpur for taking the initiative and doing this and starting this a few years back. I particularly welcome our resource person, Dr. Vignesh Swarnamohan, who is the Chief Strategic and Outreach Officer for the National Digital Library of India. Thank you very much, sir, for taking the time and lead this session. I welcome Chairman Dr. V.S. Gopal, our principal, Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, all the other heads of institutions who have joined here, faculty members, Bindu Madam, HODs, a few students have also joined here. Not a few, I think more than a few have joined here. All the other faculty members who have taken the time to hear from us. So, this is a great move rather it's a great accomplishment that our college has been able to set up such a library. And as of now, when I last checked, the number of members are right now at 230, I think 215 or 230. That's what the recent data that I got. We're hoping to increase it in the next upcoming couple of months. I think when after the session, maybe once students and faculty members are more aware of what is the resources that is available now. I think the membership count will increase because it's totally free. There is no nothing, no cost involved with it. And thank you, Dr. Vignesh, for taking the time, and I welcome you to the session. I also thank Lal sir, who has been a librarian, who has been taking this effort in organizing all this. He's quite active in this and interested as well, not very active for taking up such activities. So yeah, so that's it. I welcome all again, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Now, this is the time for us to listen to the resource person, Dr. Vignesh Swarnamohan. Let me just introduce him to all of you because we are listening to. Dr. Vignesh Swarnamohan is currently the Chief Strategic and Outreach Officer of National Digital Library of India. He has more than 14 years of research, development, and program management experience in the domains of information and communication technology for development, that is ICT 4D, education, skill development, e-governance, social entrepreneurship, public policy, health, and rural development. Mr. Dr. Vignesh holds a Doctor of Philosophy from the Center for Study of Law and Governance, Jawaharlal Nehru University, that is JNU, New Delhi, with a Master's in Public Management. His research interests include public access to technology, technology-enabled learning, governance, public policy, social enterprise development, inclusive rural development, etc. He has been actively participating in various international forums like United Nations General Agreement on ICT 4D, Internet Governance Forum, e-Asia, International Telecommunication Union, e-India, etc. So, a learned person who has tremendous knowledge about it, and I'm sure that he will be able to guide us through this, through how to use National Digital Library of India and how to optimize. We welcome you, sir, and we are all eagerly waiting to listen to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bindu. Respected Chairman, Mr. Gopal, respected Principal, Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, Vice Principal, Mr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, and Mr. Lal, who has been constantly in touch with me in getting this event scheduled. We are very pleased to be here and to talking to all of you this afternoon. So let's directly get into the presentation. Let's not waste much time. So thanks to Dr. Pillai, who has clearly set up the stage. So as some of you may know, AICT has made it mandatory for all the technical institutions to set up an NDLI club in their respective institution. So I think we have one of our founding members, Professor Chakrabarti, Professor Das, and other colleagues has been constantly in touch with the AICT to get this implemented. So once again, I thank Dr. Pillai to inviting other institutional heads who can attend this session and take forward this initiative to other institutions in the country. So now, in this session, we are going to look at the 7 aspects, which is why NDLI was created, how does NDLI work, what kind of content we have, who is this for, how to access NDLI, what is the difference between Google and NDLI, and then how to operate NDLI Club. So these are the seven things that we are going to look at in today's session. And the first thing first, why NDLI? Why do we need a digital library? Because every institution almost have a library, right? And why a new digital library, which and already we had a similar initiative called Digital Library of India by the Government of India. Why do we need National Digital Library of India? So many people ask me this question. So I keep telling them this answer. India is a country where every 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers, you will see a complete change in the people's way of accepting things, the culture, the language. So everything changes every 100 kilometers. So many of you might have realized this. And India, as diverse as even within the state, you can see even within Kerala, the northern belt and the central part and the southern part, you can see three distinct parts. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, you can see 3 or 4 distinct group of people. So in such a diverse country, we can't have one solution fitting into every requirements, every people's requirement. So one of my bosses used to tell me, he used to say, let 1,000 flowers bloom. So that's how India is. India needs more such solutions. Some people may like the National Digital Library of India. Some people may not like. So there may be a new initiative which may come up, which can cater to the learning and the teaching requirements of this country. So now, if we get into the specifics, why NDLI was specifically created in the last few years. So especially in the last 5 to 7 years, there has been drastic reduction in the financial and human resources for libraries in majority of the institutions, right? The institutions have their own reasons. They say the students and the faculty members don't use the libraries in a way which it might have been used, or they say their admission is getting lesser. So they have their own reasons, right? And it's actually impacting on the learning outcomes, right? So it's a serious impact. So there is a study anecdotal study which says whichever institution has created their entire academic work around the libraries and made library as the heart of the institution, that institutions have flourished, right? So I can give you a few examples. I don't want to name them, but this has been the practice. But many of the institutions were doing it the other way around. So Government of India took it very seriously. And also we have in the physical libraries, we have some challenges, right? Not all the libraries will have the same resources. Every institution will have their own collection. Some institution may have very rich collections. Some institution may have moderate collections. So depending on their resources, they may or may not have all the collections. And also we have challenges like accessing the same resources by multiple persons at the same time. So for example, one of your faculty members prescribed one chapter in a book. So what would happen is, suppose if there are about 50 students in a class, out of 50, at least some 20-30 people will go to the library and try to access it. But in many of the cases, at least in my case, what has happened is whenever there is a good resource has been prescribed, that book must have been already issued to another faculty member. So I ultimately wait for that book to come back to the library, and then so that I can take a photocopy of it, or I go to the concerned faculty and get photocopy of that resource and then return it back to him or her. So though I'm a strong believer of physical library, where I would like to go in a physical library, sit in a peaceful, silent corner and smell the book and then read. That's how I feel like reading. But the young generation is completely different, right? And the pandemic has completely changed the way we all read and write. And also we have challenges like missing resources, hidden resources, and damaged resources. And having seen all these challenges, the Government of India actually wanted to democratize education. They wanted to give equal access to the knowledge resources to every Indian citizen, right? So that is when this idea of National Digital Library of India came into existence way back in 2014 and 15, and it was launched as a pilot project in 2016. And basically, NDLI is nothing but a ubiquitous platform for providing equitable access to knowledge resources. That's a simple idea, right? And during this lockdown, when NDLI was created, we never thought that there would be a pandemic like COVID-19 will hit the entire world and everybody will be locked down at their respective places. Nobody imagined, and even we didn't imagine. But during the COVID-19 lockdown period, over 6 crore resources were being accessed by across the globe, not just in India, outside of India as well. So now let's see, how does NDLI work? So at NDLI, the heart of the entire library is the metadata. What is metadata? Metadata is nothing but, in technical terms, you can put it as like data about data. But here, in this context, metadata is nothing but the basic information about a resource. Say, for example, if there is a book, the title of the book, the author of the book, the publisher of the book, the subjects that are being covered in the book, the number of pages. So the basic information about a resource is called metadata. At NDLI, we primarily store our Minjas metadata only. We don't store any full text resources in our repository. Then you may ask me, like, what is the point of having a digital library without having to have the full text resources? Yes, that's a valid question. I have an answer to it. Yes, we give access to the full text resources, but in a different format. So imagine this central part of this diagram. Look at this diagram, the central part. This is the National Digital Library of India portal. As a first step, what we do is we partner with institutions. Say, for example, if your institution, Agalya School of Engineering and Technology, has 1,000 non-copyrighted, open source, digitized teaching or learning materials, right, which you are willing to share it with every Indian citizen. So then, as a first step, what we do is we sign an agreement with your institution, and then we help you in setting up an IDR. IDR stands for Institutional Digital Repository. Okay, so it's like a mini server here. So we store all your resources here, and once the full text resources are stored, we create metadata against each of these 1,000 resources. So against each 1,000 resources. So these resources could be, say, a faculty publication or a student publication or a research project or research paper or question bank, video lectures, audio lectures. So any teaching or learning material, but it should be non-copyrighted, open source and digitized resources, right? So once it is there, we create the metadata, and the metadata on the full text is lying in your repository, Institutional Digital Repository. Now, once it is ready, we just pull the metadata from here and then we store it in our repository, right? Metadata, as I said, the basic information about the resource. So the full text is in your repository only. We just pull the metadata and we store it here. Now, imagine if a researcher from, say, Wayanad wants to access one of your faculty publications. Okay, so he comes to NDLI and he searches for that resource, and once he locates it, he clicks on that resource. Then what we do is we just redirect him to your repository. So here you validate this user. If he is a registered user of NDLI, then you give him direct access to the resources. So we don't store any resource, rather we facilitate the access to resources. The original content is lying with your institution. We just act as a content integrator or content facilitator, right? So this is also primarily to avoid the copyright violation issue, which is a different topic altogether. So far this model has been working so well. And as I said, we primarily partner with institutions, and we have partnered with over 347 institutions across the globe. And these are some of the institutions with whom we have partnered with. Now let's see what type of content we have. So if you look at the subject-wise content availability, we have information and general works closer to 1.64 crore resources. Philosophy and psychology, we have 6 lakh resources. Religion, we have 2.2 lakh resources. Social sciences, we have 60 lakh resources. Language, we have 1.8 lakh resources. Natural sciences and mathematics, we have 98 lakh resources. Technology, we have 1.27 crore resources. The arts, fine and decorative arts, we have 19 lakh resources. Literature and rhetoric, we have 9.48 lakh resources. History and geography, we have 9.59 lakh resources. So if you add these, as of today, we have 7.2 crore resources in our repository. And these 7.2 crore resources are available in multiple learning resource types. They are not only books or articles, they are in multiple formats. We have text information, we have video, audio, lectures available. See, for example, I will tell you a few of the resources that we have. So we have thesis, dissertation, research projects, uh, master's projects, undergraduate projects, PowerPoint presentations, video lectures, audio lectures, class notes, coursework, term papers, assignments, assessments, lab experiments, manuals, case studies, question banks, data sets, manuscripts, paintings, images, right? And also we have law acts, law judgments, we have newspaper articles. So we have over 60 different types of learning resource formats available in our repository. And these are available in 5 different access options. So as I said, we have 7.2 crore resources, out of which say open access resources are about 5.11 crore resources. Okay, and the NDLI users contents are about 6.64 lakh resources. So if you add these two, about 5.18 crore resources are free to use for educational and research purposes. That is 72% of our resources are full text resources. Okay, you don't have to pay a single penny to use these resources, right? So coming back to the access options, so there are 5 different access options that are available. One is open access. That means like these resources are even available outside of NDLI. Say for example, NCERT books. If you go to NCERT website, you can download all the NCERT books without having to register or logged into NCERT website. You just have to download all the books, right? But the beauty of NDLI is we have collated over 300 such open source platforms and then put it in a single platform. So you don't have to go to 300 websites, rather you can just come to NDLI and access all these resources. The second one is NDL users content. So this is primarily coming from the national license content. So the Government of India, Ministry of Education has procured national license from the South Asia Archive and World eBook Library and given it to NDL registered users at free of cost. So these resources come under the NDL users content, and then limited access is, say for example, if there is a 30-page article, out of which 10 pages or 15 pages may be accessible, remaining pages may not be accessible. So this is called limited access. And the fourth one is subscribed. Subscribed means, say for example, IEEE and Springer, we only have the metadata, we don't have the full text resources. Suppose if your institution has taken the subscription from IEEE or Springer, then you can access these resources directly from NDLI, right? And the fifth one is restricted access. Restricted means which may require additional authorization from the source authority for accessing these resources. So look at these two logos, the open and NDL users. These two will give you the full text resources. Full text means you can download the entire PDF or article, audio lecture or video lecture. You can download them and then use it for educational purposes. And if you look at the learning resource type-wise content, articles are the major chunk with 3.81 crore resources, followed by newspaper articles, which has 74 lakh resources. Books are about 67 lakhs. And we have theses are about 7.4 lakh thesis. Video lectures are about 4.72 lakh resources. Now coming back to who is this for? Is it only for the higher educational institutions? No. So we have resources for every age group, starting from the school-going children to college-going youths, working professionals, academicians, researchers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners. So anyone who is interested in learning, we have resources for them. So now we will move to the next part of the presentation, which is how to access the National Digital Library of India. So there are 2 ways through which you can access the National Digital Library. One is through a mobile app. So we have the mobile app available on both Android as well as iOS. And also you can access them through a browser-based application, right? Browser is like any browser you can access NDLI. So first I will show you how to access it from the browser-based application, and then we will move on to the mobile app. So, so if you want to access it from your desktop or from a like browser-based application, just enter the National Digital Library of India. The first URL which you get, which is ndl.iitkgp.ac.in, this is our official URL. You just have to click here, then it will take you to our homepage. So this is how the NDLI homepage looks like. On the top bar, you can see there is a browse button through which you can actually browse the content by type, by subject category, by source and learning resource type. And then you can have a search icon also on the top. And then this is the NDLI club. So URL. So if you click on this NDLI club, it will take you to our NDLI club homepage. And then you can actually change the entire interface into various Indian languages. So as Dr. Pillai mentioned, currently we have 10 Indian language interfaces apart from English, and other Indian languages are also being done. And this is for logging into the NDLI registration and logging into NDLI. So I will talk about it in a little while. And this is a search box available at the center. And these are the three newly created sections during this pandemic. One is the study at home section, under which our team has actually classified the resources into various educational level and educational domain. So you can see the school related content, service examination preparatory materials, engineering subjects, science subjects, humanities, literature, and law and management. Right. And we also have COVID-19 research repository and some featured collections also. Right. So now, if you want to search on a topic called Java programming, so what you have to do is just go to the search bar, enter the search topic, and then click search. Right. Now, I search for Java programming. On the left hand side, you have various filter options to narrow down the results. Okay. So here I wanted only full text resources. Full text means I wanted only the entire content. I don't want limited or subscribed content. I wanted only the full text content. So what I did, I clicked on access restriction and I chose open and NDLI. I got 26,863 results on this topic of Java programming alone. Right. And then I searched on a topic called engineering mechanics. So here, if you carefully notice, here I have put a double quotes. Okay. So this double quotes means I need both the words in the search, the same resource, right? So I want both the words to be there. Otherwise, what will happen is, in the earlier thing, I mentioned Java programming. It means whether Java is there or programming is there, even if one word is there, it will pull the results and display. But here, within the double quote search, you can get only the resources which has both the words. Okay. So here I searched for a word with double quotes, means both. If you look at all the search, you have both the words in the search topic. Okay. Now I wanted the content only from NPTEL. So I went to source and I chose NPTEL, and I wanted specifically from one author called US Dikshit. Okay. I chose author. I clicked US Dikshit. So here I applied two filters. So likewise, you can apply multiple filters to narrow down the relevant results. And then I searched for a topic called construction techniques. Here I used a different filter. And then I searched for a topic called biotechnology. Okay. So this time I want to pursue my PhD on biotechnology, but I have not yet finalized my exact topic, or I have not framed my research questions or hypothesis. So as a first step, what you might be required to do is to do a literature survey. You need to understand what are the topics that has already been researched, and then which could be your potential area of research, right? So research is basically about research, right? So you search for this term called biotechnology. So where you can get all these information is from a thesis. Okay. So to understand the various theses that are already done on this topic, there is a source called InfluentNet Shodhganga. Okay, Shodhganga is the repository of thesis submitted in various Indian universities. Okay, so there are at least some 6,536 theses submitted on this topic of biotechnology. Similarly, whatever your topic may be, say for example, construction techniques or engineering drawing. So any topic, if you want to pursue your PhD, just go to NDLI and then look for this topic, and then go to the source and choose Shodhganga, right? So when I was doing my research, I found it very difficult to even access the thesis which are submitted in my university on the same topic. Okay, so it was so difficult. But today, with thanks to Shodhganga, you can access thesis submitted in almost all the Indian universities. And then we search for a topic called human resource management. Right. So now I'm going to show you the study at home section, especially the higher educational stream. Suppose if I want to open the engineering subject content. So what I can do is just click on this engineering. Then it will take you to a page like this. Here you can see the various resources available on the various engineering subjects, specifically from NPTEL or SPIME and other faculty publications on this topic. So we have aerospace engineering, architecture, chemical, civil, computer science, electrical, electronics and communication, mechanical and mining engineering, right? And then we have various science subjects, humanities subjects also available. We have literature resources and law and management. So these are some of the featured content for higher educational institutions. We have NPTEL video lectures. NPTEL is another Government of India Ministry of Education's initiative implemented by IIT Madras, which has huge amount of resources on various topics. The video lectures given by various renowned professors and renowned institutions, right? And then we have Shodh Ganga, we have Swayam, we have Digital Library of India, we have the original writings of Satyajit Ray in our repository, Post Institute, Spoken Tutorial, EPG Pathshala. So we have a lot of PG books available under this EPG Pathshala resources. We have the National Science Digital Library, we have MIT Open Courseware, Semantic Scholar, Arxiv.org, Paperity, CiteSeerX, faculty contributions from various institutions. Apart from this, we also have the nationalized content, especially from the South Asia Archive and World eBook Library. We also have featured content for school students. Right. So now I'm going to show you how to download a resource from NDLI. Okay. As I mentioned, if you want to like view or download a resource, right, and if that resource is open source, that means the green lock with open symbol, it means you can download that resource even without having to log in or registered and logged into NDLI. But if you want to download any NDL registered NDL users content, then you must be registered and logged into NDLI. Then only you will be able to download that content. Okay. So here I searched for a topic called research methodology in social science within double quotes. It means I want all the 4 or 5 words in the topic. So here you can see I got this topic. Suppose if I want to download this content, I just have to click on this document. Then this page will open. Here you can see there are 2 tabs, content and metadata. First click on the metadata, go through this information, and if you find it useful, then you look at whether it's an open source or an NDL source. It means here it's open source, it means you don't have to log into NDLI, then you can directly access these resources. In that case, what you can do is just click on this content. Then it will take you to, some of them will take you directly to the partner's website, and there you have to download this content, and some of them directly give you the content. So you have to just navigate through properly, then you will be able to access these resources. And in case if it's a NDL users content, so here you can see World eBook Library, it's a NDL registered users content. Okay, so it means you have to be logged into NDLI, then only you will be able to download. And in that case, what you can do is just click on this login button, then it will take you to a page like this. So this is a pop-up window. If you are an already existing member of NDLI, just enter your registered email ID and password, enter the CAPTCHA and click login. Okay, then you will be able to automatically download these resources. And in case you registered at NDLI a couple of months back and you forgot your password, in that case, what you can do is just click on this account recovery button. Then this pop-up window will appear. Just enter your registered email ID and click submit. Then you will get an automated email to reset your password, right? And then you never heard about NDLI, and this is the first time you are hearing about NDLI, and you are also not part of any institution. Then you just click on this register button. Then the registration form will open. Just fill the basic information about yourself, and then click sign up. Then you will get an automated email to verify yourself. Right. So for using NDLI, there are 2 important things you need to keep in mind. One is you should know the correct search keyword. That is one. And the second one is you should know the various filter options through which you can actually narrow down the results. Right. So here I'm going to talk about some 9 important filter options. The first important filter option is access restriction. Right. Access restriction means whether you want full text content or limited or subscribed content. Right. Suppose if you want only full text resources, then what you need to do is just choose open and NDLI.
You are mute. You are mute. Please unmute.
Okay, so am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, you're audible now.
Okay, so admin, when you mute, kindly let me know because it automatically mutes everybody, including myself. So and then fourth one is educational level. You can choose depending on which educational level you want the content from, and then file format, whichever file format you want the content. Suppose if you want only PDF files, you can choose PDF. At NDLI, the contents are available in more than 400 languages, both Indian as well as international languages. Suppose if you want the content in Malayalam, then if that content is available in Malayalam, then you can just go here and search for that Malayalam language. If it's available, then you can download this content in Malayalam itself, right? And then learning resource type, I already told you there are more than 60 different types of learning resource types available. You can choose it from your of your choice. And then source. Source is nothing but the content contributors. I told you we have 347 content contributors, and all of them are listed under this source category only. So you can choose from them. Say for example, if you want the content only from Bangalore University, you can just choose Bangalore University. And then content type. This is available only in the desktop application or browser-based application. Whichever content type you want, you can just choose. As I said, you can actually change the language interface into various Indian languages. Currently, you can change it into Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Bengali, Assamese, Oriya, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, apart from English. Okay, right. So we have NDLI mobile app on both Android as well as on iOS. Suppose if you are using an Android phone, go to the Play Store, or if you are using an iPhone, go to the App Store, and then search for National Digital Library of India. So you have to enter the entire name. If you put NDLI, it may come in the Play Store, but not in the App Store. So you have to put the entire name. Once you search, you will see this logo, app name, and the publisher name. All the three should be National Digital Library of India. Then you just click on this install button here. Then the app will get installed in your mobile phone. So once the app is installed, just click on the app. Then this is how the home screen of the National Digital Library of India's mobile app looks like. Okay, so this is the search icon, and this is the browse icon. So you can, if you click on this browse, you can see this various browsing option. And this is for changing the language interface. Suppose if you want to search on a topic called financial accounting, so just click on this search icon, enter the search keyword, and then click search in the keypad. I got 2,25,781 results on this topic of financial accounting alone. Now, if you want to filter these results, okay, just click on this button. This is a filter icon in the mobile app. Once you click on this, you will be able to see the various filter options. So you can see whatever filters we saw on the desktop application just now, you can see it on the top. So you can scroll down to see the remaining filters. Suppose if I want to apply a filter called content type and I wanted only videos on this topic of financial accounting, just choose video and then click apply. I got 205 results on this topic of financial accounting alone. Right, so this is how you need to use the NDLI mobile app. So now before we move on to the next part of the presentation, I have a quick activity for all of you. There are two parts to this activity. The first part is I request each one of you to install the NDLI mobile app in your mobile phone. If you have not yet installed, kindly install the app. But if you have already installed the app, well and good. Then the second part of the activity is just search for a topic of your choice. It could be the subject of teaching, subject of study, or subject of interest. Just search for the topic and then let us know in the chat box which topic you searched and how many results you found. Right? And I'm going to give you 5 minutes for doing this activity. Now it's 4:17 in my system. I'm going 4:12, yeah, 4:17 in my system. I'm going to give you time till 4:22. So kindly do this exercise, the 5 minutes exercise. First, install the NDLI mobile app and then search for the topic of your choice. And then in the chat box, enter which topic you searched and how many results you found. And your 5 minutes time starts now. Okay, Vaishnav has searched on programming in C and he found 26 lakh results. Um, Jassim Akbar searched on physics. Very good. Two minutes over. We have just 3 more minutes. So HOD Triple E searched on energy audit. Ms. Sanjana searched on signals and systems. Mr. Vignesh searched on wavelet transforms. Ms. Dia searched on electronics. Good. 2 more minutes. Python programming by Lakshmi. HOD mechanical engineering searched on fuel cell. Mr. Roshan searched on compiler design. Kirtana searched on data mining. Dr. Mahima searched on concrete. Ms. Ashwati searched on data science. Mr. Lal searched on library science. Okay, last 1 minute left before we get to the last part of the presentation. Ms. Preja searched on differential calculus. Mr. Jisnu Jaiprakash searched on Rekam bracing. Dr. Karthik searched on yoga. Okay, good. So the 5 minutes time that I gave you has just got over. And I think last one, Mr. Rabina searched on negative database. Okay, interesting. So what you have started doing is just a tip of the iceberg. So we have, as I said, over 5.1 crore resource, 5.2 crore resources, which are completely free, right? You don't have to be even pay a single penny for accessing these resources. So, and these are resources are highly like useful, and they create a lot of value for you, right? I remember when I was doing my undergraduation, post-graduation, MPhil and PhD, I remember minimum to minimum, I used to spend anywhere between 3,000 to 20,000 rupees. For my PhD and all, I must have spent in a few thousand every week to just photocopy these resources, right? And traveling from one library to other library looking for the resources, right? So we used to spend a lot of time in traveling to these places and taking photocopy of these resources and then get back and sit and read. So, but today we are all blessed to have an initiative. I won't say we have everything under the sun, but we have a decent collection. So my humble request to each one of you, After this session is over, just keep exploring. And if you find it useful, kindly share it with your friends, relatives, and family members. That's a simple request that I have for each one of you. So now we will get back to the presentation. Okay. So now we have come to the second last part of the presentation, which is how Google and NDLA are different. So technically, Google and NDLA are two different objects. We can't actually have a direct comparison. But still, many people ask me this question, right? Google, why do we need NDLA? Right? That's the question I keep facing. So I used to give this with the help of an example. So imagine there is a girl called Payal who's studying in class 8, and her native language is Hindi, and she is very scared of magnetism in the subject of physics. Similarly, there is a guy called Shamik who wants to pursue his PhD on this topic of magnetism. Right? Both of their requirements are different. Now, what both of them did first, they went to Google and they searched for the same topic and they found same results, 1.89 crore results. And then they came to NDLA, they searched for the same topic, they also got same results. But the results, what Payal did was she applied two filters, right? First, she chose the educational level of 5th to 8th standard, and second, she chose the language of Hindi. And now she got only 8 results on this topic. Whereas what Shamik did was he only chose career and technical papers for his research, and he got 219 results. So imagine whereas 1.89 crore results and whereas 8 and 290 results. So from this example, what we can understand is, so before we get into this, I just wanted to tell you how Google functions. So the moment you put a search term called magnetism, what Google does is it goes around the entire World Wide Web. And wherever this term called magnetism is there, it will just pull the results and display it in front of you. So that's a brilliant task that one can do, right? Before Google, we never thought that we will be able to access information available in different parts of the globe by sitting at home, right? It's a very great tool that the humankind has ever got, but it has its own limitations. Say, for example, Google can't distinguish whether it's an educational content or a non-educational content. Google treats everything equal, and it will pull both educational and non-educational content. But on the other hand, each content that is available at NDLA is curated educational content, right? As I said, we only partner with educational, research, and publishing institutions. Right? That's the first major difference. The second major difference is you can actually narrow down the results using educational filter options. In Google also you have the advanced search option, but that is very generic in nature. Okay, but here we specifically designed filter options for educational filters, and then ours is a unified platform. But whereas in Google you need to access 300 different websites to access the resources that are available. And the last difference is NDLA has the national license content, which Google doesn't. So these are the major difference between Google and NDLA. So now we come to the last part of the presentation, which is how to operate NDLA club. I think since your institution has already started the club, I will just give you the overview, and then if any of you like participants from other institutions who are interested in setting up an NDLA club in your own institution, I will share my email ID in the chat box at the end of the session. So you can write to me. I will be able to guide you properly in setting up an NDLA club in your own institution. Right. So the primary objective of NDLA club is to promote the culture of reading and learning using the NDLA's resources, or in general, our primary objective is to promote the culture of reading and learning, right? And also make use of NDLA club platform for conducting various learning-oriented activities. So that's a primary objective. For starting an NDLA club, you need to identify 4 key members, and they must be registered at NDLA first, and then you have to submit your club registration application. And once your application is reviewed and approved, you will get a certificate of registration. And once you get the certificate of registration, you can conduct a awareness session for your institution within 30 days of receiving the approval mail. and you need to conduct at least 10 reading or knowledge related activities, right? So this certificate is valid for 1 year. Within that 1 year, you need to conduct at least 10 reading or knowledge related activities. So some of these activities could be a lecture series or a quiz competition or a storytelling session or a go fish session or a film screening or a drawing competition or a role play or a writing competition, maker space or debate. So and then you can also come up with any teaching or learning related activities which can be conducted in your using your NDLI club. And then each of these activities have to be created in the NDLI club platform, and the corresponding report also should be uploaded in the platform itself, right? So that's it from my end. If you have, these are some of the activities being conducted by various NDLI clubs across the country, and that's it from my end. If you have any questions or any suggestions, you are free to put it in the chat box. We'll be happy to respond to your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Vignesh. That was like, because when we go to the website, we're kind of confused how to navigate through that. So you have cleared all those, and now we are kind of confident in getting the right kind of resources from the website, from the NDLI website. Now I request the participants to put down your queries in the chat box so that if you have any confusions or any doubts, we can get it clarified, because we don't get such an opportunity every time. Since we have it, let us make use of it. Any of you have any doubts, please do put that in the chat box.
Hello.
Yes, KK sir.
Actually, I had a doubt. For the activities of the NDLI club, can we associate with other existing bodies in the college to organize events?
Yes, so I can give you a few examples. Like many of the institutions have Readers Club, and also they have community outreach wings, partnership with NCC or NSS units. So
Right.
what these Readers Club what they have done is they have picked up members from the Readers Club and also NCC and NSS volunteers, and they have trained them on various aspects of NDLI. And suppose if they go out for outreach activities, the NSS or NCC candidates, they conduct awareness session for the outreach, the schools around the community, the place where they visit. And similarly, the Readers Club, whatever activities they conduct, that also becomes part of the NDLI club. So it is always a possibility. You need to work around a lot of existing structures so that it becomes a comprehensive model. We don't restrict. You only conduct NDLI club activities as an isolated activity. You can combine various department activities and do also.
Okay, so the NDLA club can associate with the department or with, say, the entrepreneurship development sessions or other technical societies and conduct events as well, and that can be counted for an NDLI event as well.
Yes, that is that.
Okay.
That is.
Okay, all right.
So there is a
Thank
question
you.
from Dr. Babu. How can we register? Is it free of cost? So Dr. Babu, registration, there are two things. One is individual registration. You can go to NDLA website and register individually at any point of time without having to like pay a single penny, right? Similarly, for institutional membership, we have this NDLA club model, wherein we need your institutions to submit a formal application. Again, there you don't have to pay a single penny. It's completely free of cost. Okay, so there also you have to fill the form. Then you can register your students and faculty members under your NDLI club. I hope I have answered your question. I have also shared my email ID in the chat box. So my email ID is vigneshjnu@gmail.com. So if you have any queries or if you want any help in setting up an NDLI club, you can always write to me. I will be happy to help you. Okay, so yes.
But I have a query. When we go to the website, when we register and go to the website, it shows some points. So how do we get the points and how do we redeem the points? And can you just brief on that?
Okay, great. So that's a very good question. So basically what happens is, suppose if we are organizing this awareness session, the total reward points that we have allotted for an awareness session is 25 reward points, right? But each to get a reward point, the participants have to perform or submit an outcome. Say, for example, after this event is over, if you request the participants to write one paragraph about the NDLI or how to use the NDLI, and then ask them to submit it in their, like when you created this event, you can ask them to submit when you end the event, okay? They can actually submit their event outcome into their platform. Then you can, the event conductor can review this activity and assign a reward point. Say, for example, out of 25, some of them might have written very well, where you can give them 25 reward points, and some of them may not have given a proper outcome or feedback. So there you may give them 20 or 15 or 10 depending on the way they submitted the outcome. So that is accumulated over a period of time. Say, for example, if a student has attended, say for example, if it's a quiz competition, he may get an opportunity of getting up to 100 reward points. Okay, and suppose if they scored 60 points, they will get 60 reward points. Earlier they got 20 reward points, then it will become 80. So it will keep adding into your credit, the individual members credit. And now the next part is like this collective individual your members reward points will be also like combined to understand the overall like what you call overall responsive of the club, your particular club.
Okay. So, and then, like this, how do you said that for awareness session it is 25, for quiz it is 100. So it is preset, or is there any criteria?
Okay, so we have a set of team members who actually curate different activities, and then accordingly they will allot the reward points. It's preset depending on the kind of activities which you need a lot of. Say, for example, if it's a lecture series, the students' outcome is, say, for example, they just understand what it is, right? And whereas in the quiz competition, they may have to put additional effort. Whereas in the essay competition, they might have to put additional effort in terms of understanding what it is and all. So depending on the level of activity, the reward points will vary. That will be predefined by the NDLI club admin. So that we have a set of team members who curate these activities, and then they define the maximum reward points, minimum and maximum reward points, and you will be able to, whenever you review these outcomes, you will be able to see the maximum and minimum reward points, and then you can accordingly allot the reward points.
Okay. So how does now the accumulated reward points are going to be beneficial for the club as such? How does it benefit each student when they get? And this is going to be a lifelong membership, right? So how is it? Is it going to be? Okay, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Please let me know.
Okay. So I think it's a long discussion. So what we can do is we are still in the process of like working out a lot of modalities, because many of the institutions came back to us and said they don't want lifelong membership for the club, because they want only the existing members students to be part of the club. They don't want the passed out student to be part of the club. So there are a lot of discussions going on around it. So maybe over a period of time we will be able to let you know more. And also the government of India is working out some financial incentive for the best performing NDLA clubs. I think that will also come up in the next few weeks or few months. So we are hoping to get that also.
Thank you, sir. And let me see if there are any more. If there are any more queries, please put that in the chat box.
Right. Sorry, I had one more question in connection with this. Say if a student is for an existing student, if they get these reward points, is there any particular benefit, or is it just there?
Okay, that's what we are still working out a lot of things.
Still working that out. Okay, that's okay. That's fine.
We are also
Okay,
waiting for guidelines from the Ministry of Education.
Okay, all right, okay.
Once it is there, when the guideline is there, we will be able to frame our policies around it.
Okay. Another question that I had is regarding is there I think you mentioned this in the beginning, but I didn't quite catch it. Is how do we contribute content to this?
Okay, great. That's a very brilliant question. So, as I said,
because we are having see, like for example, like say right now online classes are going on, right? So right now what we have is like we have it on on Google Drive, and we some of our lectures are being posted on YouTube as well.
Okay.
So now let's say if you post it on YouTube, is it eligible to be posted on?
So as I said, you are always welcome to share any teaching learning materials which are non-copyrighted, open source, and digitized resources. And as you correctly said, these are all digitized resources. And if you are willing to share it with NDLI, then we would like to sign an agreement with your institution, and we would request you to set up an IDR, because since it's a system, we need to create a IDR, institutional digital repository, for your own institution. Once that IDR is created, then you need to pull or push all these digital resources into the digital repository and create a metadata. I think Mr. Lal will be in a better position to understand it and help you with this. And we would be happy to have, and in fact, many institutions are contributing the faculty lectures and video lectures, audio lectures, and also class notes are being circulated, and that is also a very important uh, resource that the students are looking for. Question banks, so you can share all teaching learning materials with us. And this is not going to be, ultimately the resource is owned by you, but we act as a facilitator. We don't own this content, we give due credit to each institution. Say for example, Lucknow Professional University has given about 10,000 resources, and many such private institutions are coming up and sharing their resources. So we would be happy to have you as one of the content contributors.
Right. So, like, say for example, if you post a video on YouTube, can that same video be shared on NDLI as well, or does that copyright go to YouTube? Or how does that work? I'm not aware of that.
No. See, so you are the original creator, right?
Right.
Now since you put it on public domain, YouTube is a public domain, right? And that has, I think, licensed non I think transferable license must be there. So the original right is with you. Now you can give that same URL in the what you call in your IDR, and then link it.
Okay. So, okay. I see. Okay. All right. So that's possible. Okay.
Ideally, it should come from your IDR, but since you have already put it on YouTube, so we can always redirect, because many of the NPTEL lectures are coming from YouTube only.
Right.
Yeah, so we can do that.
And we are having one more point for discussion. We are having a journal published every quarter right now. Lal is coordinating that work course.
Great.
So we would like to have it published in the NDLA domain. Of course, our UGC approval and ISDA number, all those things are pending, because only the second one is coming up now. But we would like to associate with NDLA for that.
You are welcome, sir. We will be happy to partner with you. So you can, one of your colleague can send an email to me. So I will. There's a dedicated team of partnership. So I will be happy to connect.
Yeah, Lal is the coordinating editor, so he'll connect you because you are known to him.
Sure.
Okay.
Right, that's all the questions I had. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, then we can move to the word of thanks part. Okay, so now I invite Dr. Balamurugan, the chairman of Library Committee, to propose the word of thanks.
Very good evening to all. It is my honor and privilege to propose the word of thanks on behalf of the Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, Palakkad. I am so grateful to resource person of today's event, Dr. Vignesh Swarnamohan, Chief Strategic and Outreach Officer, National Digital Library of India, IIT Kharagpur, for accepted our invitation in spite of his busy schedule and shared the valuable information. My sincere thanks to our chairman, Dr. V.S. Gopal, Ahalya International Foundation, for constant inspiration and motivation. Next, my deepest gratitude to Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, Principal, Ahalya School of Engineering and Technology, for constant support and have been a great motivation and encourage. Without you, this would not be done, sir. Next, My sincere thanks to Dr. Krishna Kumar Kishore, Vice Principal, Ahilya School of Engineering and Technology, for support and encouragement. Next, I am so grateful to all the HODs of our college. Next, my sincere gratitude to the coordinator of today's function, Mr. Lal, the librarian, Ahilya School of Engineering and Technology, and assistant librarian, Mr. Rajesh, and Bindu, manager academic outreach, for the great arrangement today's event. Finally, I thank all the participants for showing your interest in this program. Once again, I thank you for making this function more successful. Thank you once again, all.
Thank you, Balamurugan sir. Now I thank all the participants and the resource person for spending your valuable time with us. And Vignesh sir, it was such a wonderful session because we got most of our doubts clarified. Now, as and when we use, we will have more doubts and then we will reach out to you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Looking
much.
forward for your continuous support from you, sir.
Sure, sure. So thanks
Thank you.
to the entire institution and the academic board and all the participants for being here. And if you have any questions or anything, you can always write an email to me. I will be happy to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.